now I want to talk about some of what I did. I played the blues through walking bass lines through two different keys. First, I started in the key of B flat, playing at a medium tempo, and I did it in two different areas of the neck, which I'm going to show you in just a second. And then I went on to the key of G, and I played first a very slow blues, and then a very fast blues, showing you how I might take some of the same ideas and just play it at a faster clip, and so that you get the sense of how it sounds like. Also, in the last take that I did on the fast blues, you might have noticed that I actually played some bass lines without the chords, because at a faster tempo, you can really get away with doing that because there's so much motion, and because the tempo is increased, you're not playing as long without a chord being played as you would be if it was a slow tempo. There would be a longer gap. So it's kind of a nice thing to be able to do. So you heard me actually walk down a few times doing something like this. So you see there, what I did was I just went right all the way down chromatically. Just chromatically moved down the neck. I started on a G and I ended on the low B, which I then harmonized with the low G, creating a third. That's a nice harmony, nice, inside harmony. But listen to that nice snap of the strings that I'm getting. That is one of the things that you want to aim for in solo guitar. Why? Because it sounds more bass-like. It actually sounds like what a real bass player would do. Because the bass player, acoustic bass and even electric bass, they're working on getting a nice... They're going to get that nice snap of the strings, that nice feel. And you really have to dig into the guitar and explore with it to really get that nice sound. But that's something that you should work on. A lot of people get sort of a tunnel vision approach when they're practicing. They want to try to get all the ideas and all the licks down, but they forget that even more important than the ideas and the licks is how is the guitar actually sounding, the sound that you're reproducing. So I recommend a very good practice idea is to work with just an acoustic guitar on some of these ideas and see how good you're sounding with just an acoustic guitar. Then when you switch, because that way you'll get a nice acoustic feel, for these bass lines it'll sound more like an acoustic bass. And then when you take it to your hollow body guitar, or you take it to another kind of guitar that maybe not a hollow body, you'll really start to create an authentic bass sound. Okay. Another thing that I did that's really important, and again for this I'm going to have to refer you back to the Graduated Solos and Jazz Anatomy, my first two courses with TrueFire, and that is I'm referencing the arpeggios an awful lot through these bass lines, and that really holds the bass lines together. For instance, listen to this blues in B flat. Now that second arpeggio, the E flat 7, that was just a descending E flat 7 arpeggio. And all I did was add the chord to it. And by the way, the chords are generally added on the upbeats. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So picking it on the upbeat, grabbing that chord. There's different ways to do it for right hand technique. I actually have a hybrid technique where I use my pick and then my second finger to pluck the chord. Many people play finger style, and that would give you something like this. And that's also a great way to play. I like to have my pick in my hand because as we get going with the solo guitar, you'll see that I frequently play long single note runs, and so I like having my pick handy so that I can go into that in a fluid fashion. But in any event, I really can't stress again the importance of knowing your arpeggios as well as your scales in terms of building effective bass lines. Another thing that I did that I don't know if you guys noticed, but hopefully you did, is that I threw in some harmonics, very tasty at points, and I'm going to show you how you can take just one harmonic idea and use it over different chords. For instance, in the B-flat blues, you can throw in the harmonics on the 7th fret, and here's what I did. So I put it in right where the passing chord would be. You can think of it as a B minor or an E9 going down to E flat 7. But instead of going, I actually put the harmonic in place of the chord. That creates a nice sound. In the blues in G, I know at one point I hit the high E harmonic. I was coming up out of... See, there's that harmonic. harmonic again on the 7th fret. Now instead of using it as an E9, I'm actually using it as a D13. The notes are complementary with the D7 chord. So this one harmonic now has gotten an awful lot of mileage. And there'll be other ways that I'm going to show you how to integrate harmonics, both natural and artificial, into your playing. When we went to the faster tempo, I was using a lot of the same ideas. I got a little more complicated harmonically, but essentially I was using a lot of the same ideas that I used at a slower tempo. There's that bass line again. It just comes out naturally. So when you work through the blues, learning some of these ideas that I've been talking about, take your time, play it at a slow tempo. That's why I played through the blues in G at one point at a nice slow clip, because what's more important is that, again, you work on getting a nice sound, that nice bass popping sound, and not a bad idea to work on walking bass lines where you play them just by themselves without the actual chord sometimes, as in... So when you've worked on a bass line just by itself and really concentrating on getting a nice bass sound, then you can go back and add the chords to it, and then you'll really be on your way to mastering the art of solo jazz guitar.